Welcome to the Inside Chudleigh House School podcast, where we bring you inspiring stories and insights from even more inspiring and remarkable individuals. My name is Arch Antonia, and interestingly enough, today we have the pleasure of speaking with Mrs. Petronella Chisanga, the visionary founder of Chudleigh House School. Mrs. Chisanga, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so let's start a little bit with your background, with your story. For our listeners who may not be too familiar with who you are, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Petronella Chisanga, born and bred in Zambia. I went to school at St. Mary's Secondary School in Livingston. Thereafter, I went to the University of College Dublin in Ireland, and I did my public administration training in Ireland before I came back to Zambia. And I was employed as a teacher at St. Mary's Secondary School in Kawambwa.
Oh, wow.
And from there, I became deputy head at Matero Girls, and then went back to Kawambwa to be head of the school
Wow.
until I was retired in the public interest. Actually, they call it national interest. When I was made a member of Central Committee by President Kaunda.
Oh, wow.
And after that, I spent 5 years as a member of Central Committee and then left politics, and I was running 10 companies belonging to UNIP here in Zambia, assorted. Dually Motors, which dealt with cars, EW Tari, which dealt with farming equipment, Times of Zambia, dealing with newspapers, Sopelak, dealing with fish, Livingston Motor Assembly, with dealing with cars. There were 10 of them that I run. So
Wow.
that is my background before I retired from there. That's what I was doing, and then retired and started to work on building a Chudleigh House School.
So you've dabbled in quite a bit before starting the school.
Yeah, maybe a year and a half or so.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. So that's absolutely wonderful. What inspired you to establish Chudleigh House School?
What inspired me was the fact that the time I spent in Kawambwa, I ran a girls' school that opened my eyes and how backward Zambia was in the education of girls.
Right.
And that really, really fired me up to say I must make a contribution to the education of the girl child.
Yes.
And I spent 2 years in Kawambwa trying to see if I could influence the education of children in Zambia.
Right, right.
And unfortunately, after that, I was removed and I went in to be a member of Central Committee, which I knew very little about. But when Kaunda spoke, you jump. So that's what happened.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's honestly truly inspiring. Would you say that you having a role in public administration or national administration, as you refer to it as, do you think that's what kind of pushed that forward for you?
No, I think my time at St. Mary's Kawambwa made me see the need of the girl child being educated and their heads opened because they came from all over, some from the swamps they'd never seen in a car in their lives, and really backward
Yeah.
children.
Yes.
But when they came to St. Mary's, they stayed a few months and they're totally different. What education can do for a person. So I was very motivated that if I could just increase the number of kids that have seen the light of day, who have gone to secondary school in Wapura province, I'm sure I would have made an impact.
Yes, that's honestly truly inspiring. Throughout your time running the school, what would you say is the biggest challenge you faced?
Ah, to run a school. I think the biggest challenge is the parents.
Yes.
The children are easy to deal with. You can, mold them to whatever methods you want them to use. But the parents are always a stumbling block in a lot of ways. Some parents don't pay attention to their children. Some parents believe children bring up themselves. They don't know what they have eaten. They don't know what time they slept. They don't know if they read a book or they couldn't care less. And it makes life very difficult for a teacher.
Yeah.
And I think that is the one thing that I disliked about teaching is this constant pushing of adults, parents, to
Yes.
do the correct thing. The
Yes.
children are easy to deal with, but the parents totally, uh, disoriented
I see.
because
I
they
see.
came from different backgrounds. Some of them don't have the education that they need. What do you do? They were just pushing the wrong direction all the time, and it made life as a school very difficult.
Wow, it sounds like you've navigated some significant hurdles. I
Mhm.
must say, your dedication, even throughout all the difficulties you've had with parents, it's truly commendable, if I must say.
Right.
Now that your daughter, Mrs. Patricia Siwila, is now stepping into the role of executive director, how has the transition been for both the school and your family as a whole?
Yeah, very good question. Yes, these are things that one doesn't think of. You start a school and forget that you need some succession plan. I didn't really have one. So I was very happy when Patricia came back from America, having done so well in higher education,
Yes.
and decided she wanted to join me at the school. I was very happy, and quickly we changed over. She took the executive position, and I became her deputy. And she did so well within a year. I decided there was no need for me to be there. So I just told her that I'm retiring. And she tried to say, mommy, I haven't got it yet. I said, you have. And I left. And she has done a better job than I did. First of all, like I say, she's better educated. She was more exposed to a different kind of education from what we have here, and she had the enthusiasm to learn new ways of doing things.
Yes.
Of course, the way we do things in Zambia is snail's pace. That was frustrating her quite a bit because even the Minister of Education to get an answer about anything was quite difficult. Things have improved, but we still a long way to go.
Do you think that the old fashionedness of the Zambian culture surrounding education has kind of slowed down development for the school a little bit, just
Exactly.
significantly?
But I must admit that the change in the way our culture is impacting on our children is remarkable. I
Yes.
think we're more or less seeing that children can cope with both. They can compare the cultures uh, elsewhere and our culture, and they are able to pick what is good out of both, both of them. And I think that's commendable. And I hope that we won't get to a position where we try to discard one or the other. We should carry both and let the schools try to show the children which is good and which is bad in our cultures and other people's cultures.
That's very impressive. It sounds like she's making quite the impact. Can you share some of the exciting changes or initiatives she's introduced since taking on the role?
Some exciting things?
Yes, some things that she's done that you've been able to witness.
Yeah. Actually, it's quite an interesting journey to develop a school
Yes,
because you have to be careful that you don't drop things that are essential, no, take on things that are not essential.
right,
And children are coming from different homes with different backgrounds and understanding of what is good and what's bad. Some children come from families where their parents couldn't care less whether they went to school, they didn't learn anything at school, they learned anything. There's parents who are very strict on their children. So the way I look at it now is that the schools have taken on a very big portion of bringing up children
right,
than before, where the children are in school for many more hours than they are at home. And parents' influence can be felt at school. You know which child is looked after well and which child the parents couldn't care less. So teachers now take on that role in bringing up children who are half neglected in a way. And it proves to be quite difficult, but at the end of the day, the teachers always win.
so teachers are more or less kind of like a second parent at school.
Absolutely. Some of them are even first parents. Like I say, some parents couldn't care less about whether the child has done their homework, whether the child, uh, what they're reading is relevant or is something they shouldn't even look at. They
Yes,
couldn't care less what they look at on TV. They couldn't care less what the child is reading. And what do you expect the child to be? Not what parents expect.
yes,
So it's a very difficult situation until we can get all parents to understand that schools are just complementary. They are not the basic education
right,
for
right.
a child.
So it's clear that your daughter has brought a lot of vision and energy to the role. How do you
Mm.
see the future of Chudleigh House School unfolding under her leadership?
May I think we have a long way to go. A lot of issues that I had when I started the school are no longer even issues
Yes,
because she has ironed out how you start, how you finish anything. And we are not static. We're not just dealing with the curriculum in Zambia. Even a few days ago, the board of directors was still talking about the school blending the curriculum with Oxford University,
oh
which
wow,
is incredible. In my time, those things would not have happened, but it's going to happen under Mrs. Swift.
wow,
Because she, like I told you, she's more educated. She has a lot more contact, even outside Zambia, even in Zambia, because she has a very progressive uh, ideas.
yes,
She's not very static, and of course, age is on her side. She's she can learn a lot more things than I could. So, the sky is the limit for Chudleigh House School. And if you look back, even 3, 4 years ago, it's not the same thing. Chudleigh is not the same. It's evolving in the right direction. And the children are exposed to not only academic, but real life. Our children are all over the place. They visit places. They learn about what is going on around them, whether it is social or otherwise. And I believe that in few years' time, Chadra will be a very different place. And
yes.
I'm sure we'll think of uh, adding a university to it.
Oh wow, that's actually a very, very good idea. Just before we wrap up, is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners about Chudleigh House School or your journey, what the future holds for the school?
What I can add is that, this is our country, and Zambia should try to give back something to the country.
Yes.
And something like a school, even if it's just a nursery school, if it's run properly, the children will not be the rowdy ones on the streets,
Right.
because they will be molded while they were very young to being proper human beings who can see uh, uh, that some things are not progressive. So I would think maybe as a country we should try to expand our reach, in that we should learn what other countries are doing, but also expose our own way of doing things, our own way of even living, not trying to copy what other people are doing. We can learn from there, but not copy. And that is what messes up a lot of countries, is copying from other people. You don't even know why that country they do things the way they do, because you're not part of it. So if you have to learn from them, learn, but don't copy. So I would like to see Zambia evolving its own character, and with our own social norms, and our own beliefs in our own country, and our own way of life.
For a podcast host, I'm speechless. I think the amount of knowledge that you've put into me right now, I think I will go and I will continue to remember your words. I just want to thank you so much, Mrs. Chisanga, for having you share your insights and experiences with us today. It's been such a pleasure having you on the podcast, I
Thank you
must
very
say.
much. You're welcome.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our social platforms for more inspiring and remarkable stories like this one. Until next time.